Hey everybody, this is Darren Sabedra again, Bay Area News Group, Mercury News, East Bay Times, here with Joseph Dycus, Christian Babcock, and Nathan Canilao. We are heading into week 4 of the high school football season, and I think some storylines are developing, and we will touch on some of those before we get to our picks. But just want to ask, how you guys doing?
Doing great.
Yeah?
Doing good?
Yeah.
Not bad at all. Can't complain.
Christian feeling good because he has a story on the front page of today's Mercury News, and I believe the East Bay Times as well, on Albertine Montoya, the Bay FC women's soccer coach. If you haven't read that story, check it out. It's on my Twitter feed. It's on Christian's, and I'm sure Nathan and Joseph have retweeted that, or pick up a copy of the Tuesday edition of the Mercury News and East Bay Times. It's on the front page. Really, really good story about Albertine's, how he was able to flee from Cuba at a young age and to make it to the United States and build a soccer career here. So
Yes.
check that story out. We're going to get started by De La Salle. We don't always talk about De La Salle, but we're going to talk about the Spartans today because the gap between De La Salle and the rest of the field in the Bay Area seems to be as wide as it has been. I'm not even sure. I mean, Sarah's gap was it this wide last year? Might have been. I mean, they beat.
I think it was. I think it was.
Although they had the close game against Folsom, well, 21-14 against Folsom early, and then beat De La Salle 28-0. I mean, De La Salle to beat Sarah by 29, beat St. Francis by 35, and Grant by 28. Joseph, you were there on Friday night. You saw him the previous Friday. I think the smartest thing De La Salle has done is to stop going wide and trying to like mix up its offense. Trying to, it has an identity now.
Yes.
Which I don't think it's had the last couple of years, and that identity is awfully hard to stop.
Yes. Like I'm sure the receivers on De La Salle want them to throw the ball, as all receivers do. But you sometimes you watch them like, oh, they've run for 30 yards on 3 carries, and then like, oh, we're gonna throw 2 passes in a row, and you're like, man, just keep running the ball.
How wide is the gap, Joseph?
I would say it's pretty similar to last year's Sarah team versus everybody else. De La Salle is now, I mean, they beat Sarah convincingly. They beat St. Francis convincingly. Although I will say it was close in the first half. Both those teams. Both those teams.
Yeah.
But I mean, it almost feels inevitable that you might keep it close for a half, but they're going to wear you down. And it seems like that defense always gets better in the second half. I don't know what they do at halftime, but that defensive line, especially between Maya Tolona and Matthew Johnson, nobody can block them.
Nathan, I mean, the only team in the top 5 that's going to get another shot at, or is going to get a shot at De La Salle is Pittsburgh. You saw them last week. Looking at that first quarter score, I was like, oh my gosh, Charlie Ramirez has it rolling there. And I got to admit, giving up 42, albeit, Reardon has a lot of talent, but if you're going to beat a team like De La Salle or have a chance against a team like De La Salle, you're going to have to play defense. And I was little caught off guard by them giving up 42 at home in a game where they were up at least 3 scores. Well, did it ever get to 4 scores?
It was 3 scores. At first quarter, I think they ended at 28-7. That was their largest lead of the night. I think my biggest takeaway from Pittsburgh, I mean, if we're looking at a potential game against De La Salle, they got gashed. I mean, the middle of their line. I mean, know that Charlie Ramirez and that Pittsburgh defense wanted to stop, Mike Mitchell and that air raid offense, but they had a running back who carried the ball 42 times for nearly 300 yards and 2 scores. So I can only imagine what a De La Salle, 4 De La Salle running backs coming at you could do, especially to that Pittsburgh defense. So I do think, obviously Pittsburgh started off well, and it looked early on like, wow, this might be a team that could compete with De La Salle. But I think as the game wears on, you kind of could see some of the holes in the Pittsburgh defense, and not that they could shore up those holes for sure before they could get a crack at De La Salle. But as of right now, it looks like the gap between the Spartans and everyone else is just gigantic.
Right. Christian, you agree? Looking at the scores that De La Salle's had the first 3 weeks of the season?
Yeah, I mean, without having seen it live and just sort of going by the short video clips that we get out there, it looks like they just sort of can rotate them through. And I mean, that's a luxury to have at the college level or the NFL level when you have a bunch of guys who are home run hitters and you have a line for them to run behind. That's really tough to stop. And I think especially at the high school level, it's really demoralizing for a team when they can't, get penetration. They're getting knocked off the ball. And then here come these blazing running backs, and the quarterback can run too. So that's a tough thing to stop.
The good news for Pittsburgh, as far as the De La Salle situation goes, they have 8 weeks to get ready for that, and they're going to see a team that would be favored probably heavily over De La Salle on Friday night when Pittsburgh makes the trip to St. John Bosco. I'll start with Joseph because you saw St. John Bosco, a young St. John Bosco team handle Sarah fairly convincingly, although that game was also close for about a quarter, I think, and then
about a half. About a
half.
Yeah.
Okay. So your impressions of Bosco and how big is the gap between Bosco and the De La Salle team you've seen for 2 weeks in a row?
I kept hearing while I was out there, oh, this is a young Bosco team. Like, this is a young kind of rebuilding Bosco team. I was looking at their offensive linemen run by me, and they're like all 6'5", 320 pounds. And their running backs all run 4'4", 4'5". And I think if this is a rebuilding team, I don't even want to know what the finished product is supposed to look like. I think De La Salle is a really good team. They're the best team in the Bay Area. Against that version of Bosco, if they haven't played that version of Bosco, I think it would look a lot like probably how Sarah, credit to Patrick Walsh, he did everything possible to try to keep that game close. They weren't snapping the ball until there was about 2 seconds left on the play clock. They were mixing up their, running and then short passes. They ran play action, hit their tight end on a wheel route that no one expected. They were doing everything. And everything was difficult. And then Bosco only needed one play, 65 yards, one play, 63 yards. And I feel like De La Salle, that's kind of what a game against them would look like is, for a half, you're going to keep it close. You're going to get 3 or 4 yard runs. And the Bosco's going to rip off a 70-yard touchdown because no one can catch their 260-pound running back that runs 4.3,
Nathan, what do you think Pittsburgh wants to get out of this game? We read last Saturday in Joseph's story from the Sarah game that Patrick Walsh said it was a lesson learned playing that Bosco team. What do you think Pittsburgh wants to get out of this game?
Just talking to Charlie after the game, Charlie Ramirez, I think the biggest thing for them is just to get a feel for what a Southern California team would look like. Because their aspirations, obviously, they want to get to a state championship. But to get there, he doesn't want them to feel shell-shocked when, you go up against a Bosco and they look at them and it's like, oh, wow, maybe we don't have a chance in this game. I think the biggest thing for Pittsburgh is let's get a feel for what Southern California could really be like, what they play like. That way, going into, maybe a potential state title game, we could see, when we have film on some of the things that we can do against some of these teams.
Right. And no matter who they play in a state championship game, unless they happen to knock off De La Salle and get a game against Mater Dei or Bosco, they're going to not be playing a team at Mater Dei and Bosco's level in a state championship game if they were to drop down. So, Christian, you had a game Friday night where you saw one of the teams that is, in my opinion, one of the stories of the early season, Archbishop Mitty. We did a preview, and I'm not sure Mitty was Mitty picked to finish last or next to last.
They were picked to finish last. It was crazy.
So it seems like every time Mitty's picked to finish last, they do something, because I'm pretty sure 2 years ago they were picked to finish last or near the bottom of the WCAL and ended up making a run all the way to the CCS Open Division final against a really good Sarah team where Mitty hung tough for about 3 quarters and then faded in the fourth. But that was a really fun Mitty team. Christian, what is this Mitty team like?
Well, their identity, as always, they like to be gritty, which is kind of funny for a team called the Monarchs, but they make it work. They hang in there. They play tough defense. Yeah, that game was an interesting game, kind of like you guys were talking about when they played Sarah. It was close, and then Sarah pulled away. Well, that's what Mitty did last week. It was 0-0. A lot of defense, pretty good defense, some interceptions, fumble recoveries, just two teams playing sound. Mitty got some key turnovers, and then Lazaro Faraj Washington got going a little bit. Jonah Cronin hit some passes, and before you knew it, they were up 21-0, and they kind of just held that lead for the fourth quarter. So Monarchs can be gritty. They proved it again. And yeah, I think they're on pace to have a pretty good year at this point.
That player from Mitty, Sniffin, the one who intercepted 3 passes, is he the same guy who hit all those home runs in the baseball playoffs? Or is that
I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah.
Probably.
He has a nose for the ball. Let's just say that.
He has a nose for the ball. So maybe he has when he has the bat in his hand, he knows how to sniff it out, right?
Yeah.
There you go. That hand-eye coordination helps in both sports.
There you guys go. Well, Danny Sullivan's doing a great job there at Mitty. I know they took a step back last year with a young team, but he's got the Monarchs rolling as they get ready for WCAL play. The WCAL takes this week off, and then all the teams will open league play next week, and we'll get more. We'll discuss that more in next week's show. So let's get to the picks. Last week, not to pat myself on the back, but I went 13-2 to widen my lead in the season standings. Joseph, Dycus, and Nathan went 9-6. Lefkow 8-7, and Christian showing his inexperience at this, right, Christian? At 7-8.
Sure. We can call it that.
So we're going to call it that. Let's get to the picks. Game 1 on the list is a Thursday game in Cupertino.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to quiz Joseph because we ask him this every time we do Homestead. Who's the most famous alum out of Homestead High School in Cupertino?
Steve Jobs.
He got it.
I think they have a mural of him on their in their basketball gym. I'm pretty sure, or maybe it's on the outside, but they're very proud of Steve Jobs.
Well, we blame him for this, right? These phones. Oh, the late Steve Jobs. Yes. So Homestead High School will be at home on Thursday night to play Milpitas. I'll go first. I'm taking Milpitas. Lefkow's taking Milpitas. Joseph, who you got?
I went back and forth, but I'm going to go with Milpitas too.
All right. Nathan?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Milpitas coming off a big win. I know they lost to Santa Teresa 2 weeks ago. They had a big win last week. I'm going to go with Milpitas.
Christian?
Yeah, I guess I'm going to make it a sweep. I saw Milpitas a couple weeks ago against Santa Teresa, and they struggled a bit, but they got some pieces. I think they're starting to get it together. I think they're going to take this one.
All right, clean sweep. Next game on the list is a Friday night game on the coast where Half Moon Bay has been riding that wave, no pun intended. They'll be at home to play Woodside. Half Moon Bay 3-0, Woodside 2-1. I'm going Half Moon Bay. Lefkow's going Half Moon Bay. Joseph, who you got?
I'm going Half Moon Bay as well. They seem to be back.
Nathan?
Yeah, I'm going Half Moon Bay. I'm going with that home field advantage.
Christian?
Oh, I keep getting burned picking against them, so I'm going to ride that wave too, all the way to Half Moon Bay.
You're jumping on the wave a little late, but it's
I'm
still...
going to go to Mavericks and put that fire out that's been burning me.
You know what? Maybe one day I'll go to Half Moon Bay, and instead of eating McDonald's and then getting flamed for it by the entire group chat, I'll go and actually eat seafood.
Yes, you got
a good idea.
Not only by us, but by our viewers.
By our viewers, yes.
Who were taken aback by you eating at McDonald's in Half Moon Bay. I'm not even sure why there is a McDonald's in Half Moon Bay. Next game on the list, Campo Lindo, which is young team. Not surprising that they're struggling given the schedule that they're playing, but as we pointed out on this show numerous times, I wouldn't want to play them in October or November, but unfortunately for Campo, it is not October or November yet. It is still September, and I think this is too tough of a test for Campo. I'm going El Cerrito. Lefkow's going El Cerrito. Nathan, who you got?
Yeah, I'm going to go with El Cerrito. I think the gachos are rolling right now.
Christian?
Going El Cerrito. I think they got this one at home, and they have the overall advantage as a team at this point.
Joseph?
I'm going El Cerrito. I don't feel good about it, though. Remember last year, they started out slow. Campo did, and they played Monte Vista, who we all thought was really, really good, and then they blew out Monte Vista, and I just feel like we're going to come back next week. Even though we're all picking El Cerrito, we're going to come back, and it's going to be like Campo wins 14-10 or something like that.
So we're 4 games in, and all of us have picked the same team?
3 games in. I think we skipped San Lorenzo.
Oh, my bad. Let's circle back. We've got San Leandro, 2-1, traveling to Foothill, 2-1. I'll let you go first, Joseph.
You know what? Give me those Pirates, those other Pirates, not the Pittsburgh ones. San Leandro Pirates. Give me them, though. I think they seem to have something going.
All right. Nathan.
I'm also going to go San Leandro. They beat Castlemont big last week. They beat another EBAL team in Doherty Valley, and they lost close to Redwood, who's a North Bay power up there. So I'm going to go San Leandro.
Christian.
I'm feeling Foothill. I marched there once in high school, and I think they're going to take this one at home.
All right. Lefkow's going Foothill, and I am going Foothill too. So finally a close one, 3-2. This next game will be at Oakland High on Friday night, where Arcata is going to be making the long trip from near the Oregon border. Arcata's 3-0, Oakland's 3-0. Something's got to give. I think what's going to give is Oakland's 0 on the in the loss column. I'm taking Arcata. Lefkow's taking Arcata. Joseph, who you got?
I actually see the Oakland football team running laps around Lake Merritt pretty frequently when I'm out and about. So I know that they look like a good football team, and I'll take Oakland.
Nathan?
I'm also taking Oakland. I think the long road trip for Arcata might backfire a little bit, so I'm going to take Oakland.
Christian?
Yeah, I went back and forth a few times. Both of these teams have had pretty good starts to the season, but I'm kind of feeling Oakland at home, so that's what I'm going with.
All right, another close one, 3-2. Lefkow and I going with Arcata. Game 6 on the list will be in Santa Rosa, where Cardinal Newman, storied program from the North Bay, will be at home to take on Nathan's guys, the Bishop O'Dowd Dragons. I'm going to let Nathan start off here. Are the Dragons going to get back on track against the powerful Cardinal Newman?
Unfortunately, not for me. I'm going to take Cardinal Newman in this one. I think they just are a little bit bigger up front than No Doubt, a little bit more depth. I'm going to take the North Bay team in this one.
Christian?
Yeah, I guess we're going with the Royal theme today. I'll take Cardinal Newman. I think they're a really good team, so they're going to win this one.
Joseph?
I went back and forth. I'll take Bishop O'Dowd. I mean, this is their prove it game, right? Okay. To be honest, they only lost to Mac by 14, which Mac's a pretty good team, even if they only have 15, 18, 19, something like that players.
Correct. Yes. So you're going to go the Dragons. Lefkow's going Cardinal Newman, and I am going Cardinal Newman. Game 7 on the list. This is one of our poll games, right? Joseph, you want to explain what we mean by poll games?
Okay, so the poll, we have this week selected 5 games that we've sent out a poll, kind of like our Athlete of the Week poll, to different schools, and said, we're letting the fans decide where Joseph goes this week. We've got the El Cerrito Campo game, we had the Arcata Oakland game, the Liberty Amador Valley game, and I don't have the rest of these written down or in front of me. But
San Leandro
Foothill. And you have until Wednesday at 5 p.m., which means when this comes out on Wednesday, you'll still have several hours to vote. And you can vote as many times as you want. And whoever has the most votes at the end of Wednesday,
5 o'clock,
you'll see me at your game.
With a photographer.
All
right. Well, this Liberty Amador Valley game is on that list, and I'm going to go with the visiting team. I'm taking Liberty. I think Liberty's both teams. And this is going to be a really close game. There's no doubt about it. But I think Liberty, they've made the trip to Los Gatos. I think this is obviously a much closer trip, just going to Pleasanton. I think they win this one. Lefkow's taking Liberty. Nathan, who you got?
Yeah, I'm going to take Liberty here. I think the time possession is going to be big, and I think Jackson Bell and that Liberty offense is just going to chew up clock and not allow the air raid of Amador Valley to get the ball.
Christian?
Yeah, as a founding father whose name I don't remember once said, give me Liberty. So that's what I'm going with.
I believe that was James Madison.
James Madison. Oh, he's a good one. I like him.
There you go.
He was a good one.
Showing your knowledge, Joseph. Very
Unlike our founding father James Madison, I like Amador in this one because I think their air raid is going to. I think if they can get a big lead on Liberty early, maybe they can follow that Los Gatos strategy of hey, maybe they don't have enough firepower to come back. So
you're the only one taking Amador.
Yep.
All right. Next one on the list. Nathan, you're going to be at this game where Terra Linda at 2-0 is going to travel to face Heritage at 2-1, 7:00 Friday night there in Brentwood. I'll let you go first, Nathan. Who are you taking?
I'm taking Heritage. I think they're a scrappy team. They lost the game they lost this year was to Foothill, and miraculously they gave up a 14-point lead with about 6 minutes left. And but I think they've learned from that, and I'm gonna take Heritage in this one.
Christian?
I'm feeling Terra Linda. I think they're going to take this one on the road.
There you go. And Joseph?
You know what? I'll take Heritage.
All right. I'm also taking Heritage being at home, and Lefkow's taking Heritage as well. So 4 for Heritage, and Christian trying to make a comeback after last week is taking Terra Linda. We'll see if he makes up ground there. Game 9 on the list, South San Francisco, which I don't believe anybody picked last week against Lee.
I did.
Oh, you did?
I did.
There you go, Joseph. There you go. South San Francisco coming off a huge home win over Lee. We'll be making the short trip to Carlmont to play the Scots. Both teams coming in at 2-1. Joseph, I'll let you go first. Who you taking?
I picked them last week. Why not pick them again? I'll take South San Francisco. And I think it was Dave Kiefer was at that game last week, and he said this might be the fastest 3 quarters, or was it fastest half?
48 minutes in real time, I believe.
Yes. So give me South San Francisco.
Nathan?
Give me Carlmont. I think I like their special teams. They had a couple touchdowns on special teams last week, and I like that they run the ball. So give me Carlmont.
Christian?
Yeah, similar to Half Moon Bay, picking against South San Francisco has gotten me burned. So I'm riding with them this week. That cool fog is going to take them through this week.
You're taking South San Francisco. So, and then Lefkow and I are both taking Carlmont. Lefkow and I, unfortunately or fortunately, picked the same winners in every game.
Wow.
Yes, that's pretty sad, but okay. Maybe we'll go 15-0. Game 10 on the list, Burlingame, 2-1, traveling to Santa Clara to play Wilcox, 2-1. Wilcox coming off that very impressive win last week against Sacred Heart Cathedral. I think the Chargers have it rolling now. That veer offense that they run is very impressive when it's running at high gear. I'm taking Wilcox. Lefkow's obviously taking Wilcox because he and I picked the same. Joseph, who you got?
Yeah, I mean Wilcox, and even their loss against Valley Christian, it was close into the fourth quarter, right?
Yeah.
So yeah. I mean, they could very easily be 3-0 right now. I'm going with Wilcox.
Nathan?
I'm also going Wilcox. I think the big win last week's going to set them up well for this week, so I'm going to go Wilcox.
Christian?
I guess we're going to make a sweep for the Chargers. I'm going Wilcox too.
All right. This next one, 2 3-0 teams. I think I talked to our colleague Glenn Reeves, who I don't think he had either one of these teams up high in his PAL Lake Division preview that ran in August in on the Mercury News website. But both teams are coming into this one at 3-0. It'll be Gunn at Monte Vista. Christian will be there in Cupertino. I'll let him go first.
Yeah, I don't feel like I have a very good read on this game. I think, both teams coming in with a lot of momentum, really good start to the season. And because I don't have a strong read, I think I'm just going to go with the home team. So I think Monte Vista takes it. But this should be a competitive game. And I always like when there are teams that kind of rise up and then they get to duke it out. So it should be fun.
This should be a fun game. Joseph, who you got?
I think 2024 has just been a good calendar year for Gunn. They beat Palo Alto in basketball. They won a league title in softball, and I think they'll start 4-0 in football.
Nathan?
I'm also going Gunn. They've allowed 8 points in their first 3 games, so I'm going to ride that defense, and I think they're gonna pull this one out.
Nathan, doing a little homework. Lefkow's taking Monte Vista, and I'm taking Monte Vista. So Christian's going to tell us all about it on a Saturday morning, where one of these teams will wake up with a 4-0 record.
Yes.
Right. This next one, I believe Glenn Reeves will be covering this one. It'll be down in San Jose, where Santa Teresa. We know Steve Pappen watches the show, right? Christian,
Yes, he does
do you
every
think he
week.
watches the show, or do you think somebody tells him?
No, he said they watch the show together every week.
There you go. Well, they're on the list again. They'll be at home to play a really good Hillsdale team. Hillsdale's 2-1. Santa Teresa's 3-0. I'll let you start, Joseph.
Steve, since I know you're watching this, I'm picking Santa Teresa. Don't let me down.
Nathan.
I'm also going to pick Santa Teresa. They're giving me, 2016 Oakland Raiders vibe. They're winning close. They blow people out. I like their offense. I'm going to go Santa Teresa.
Christian.
Well, I think we're being charmingly intimidated by Santa Teresa into picking them every week now, but I'm not strong enough to resist, so I'm going with Santa Teresa to win this one.
Lefkow, Santa Teresa. Me, Santa Teresa. I think every time we all pick Santa Teresa, they don't come through, right? Or did they come through last week? Did we?
They came through. Yeah, we picked them against Pioneer.
Yeah.
Okay.
In overtime. They came through in overtime.
Came through in overtime. I was waiting for that score, going, where is it? What happened? What happened? And then finally, they won it.
Glenn's going to be at that one, right?
He will be at that one. Kiefer's going to be at this next one, which is also a very interesting matchup, where Menlo School at 3-0 will be traveling to Capuchino, also 3-0. I'm going Cap. Oh, excuse me. I'm going Menlo. Lefkow's going Menlo. So 2 for Menlo. Joseph, who you got?
I am going Menlo as well.
Nathan.
Menlo School for me.
Christian.
Yeah, I think Menlo's a pretty good team, so I think they're going to have the energy to overtake Capuchino in this one.
So that's a 5-0 sweep. This next one, De La Salle, as Joseph pointed out in Monday Morning Lights, is hitting the road for the first time this season. Be making that trip to Stockton to play St. Mary's. Very, very strong program out of the Sac Joaquin section that has given De La Salle some competitive games through the years and some not so competitive games through the years. They will test De La Salle with that spread passing attack. I don't think they've changed, but I think De La Salle is going to reel off some big plays with those running backs and the speedy quarterback Toa Pave. I see the Spartans winning this one and to continue their dominance of Northern California. Nathan, are you with me or are you against me on that one?
I'm with you on that one. I'm taking De La Salle. I think they'll win this one pretty big, much like the last couple games.
Christian?
Well, if I'm going to get back above 500, I better pick De La Salle. So that's what I'm going to do.
And Joseph?
Yeah, I'm picking De La Salle, and if St. Mary Stockton is running a spread, I can't think of many teams I would less want to run a spread against than a team that has 4 DBs that are probably going to play D1 football like De La Salle does. So good luck with that.
And the pass rushers coming at the quarterback.
Yeah, you're running empty protection, and you've got Matthew Johnson and 3 other great linemen harassing your quarterback.
Not a good remedy for success.
No.
Lefkow obviously taking De La Salle, so a clean sweep there. The last one on the list, I think I know where everybody's headed on this one. We should have made it fun, come up with something. And we never want to do point spreads or anything like that, but I don't know. I don't know what we could have done to make this thing fun, but we added it to the list because Pittsburgh's our number 2 ranked team, putting its undefeated season on the line in Bellflower, right in the heart of Los Angeles County, to play St. John Bosco. Joseph, will Pittsburgh score in this game?
You know what? I think they will. Sarah was actually able to move the ball against Bosco. Now, did they have the offense? Did Pittsburgh have that offensive line Sarah has? No. But do they probably have better, playmakers on the outside? Yes. I think they score a touchdown.
7 points for
7
Pittsburgh.
points.
You're taking St. John Bosco.
St. John Bosco.
Nathan.
I'm going Bosco, but I'm gonna almost triple you, Joseph. I'm gonna say they scored 3 touchdowns. I think they have enough. I think they have enough. If Sarah could get, put some points on the board, I think Pittsburgh has enough playmakers to at least give us 2 or more touchdowns. I'm gonna go Bosco like 63-21.
Okay.
Okay.
All
Nathan,
right, that's bold.
that is bold. Can Christian go even bolder?
No, Christian cannot. I'll split the difference, maybe 1 or 2 touchdowns. But I will say, I mean, Pittsburgh's got a lot of talent. I mean, this is the game, like whatever your gadget plays are, whatever you drew up on the whiteboard when you were bored in March, like throw it out there. I mean, there's I don't want to say there's nothing to lose, but there's not much to lose. So, give me all your exotic formations, your, 2 offensive linemen and 3 offset, just throw it all out there. Let's see it.
Unlike you guys, I think there is stuff to lose in this game. They do not want to come out of there banged up, right? They want to come out of there with their guys healthy and able to go into, the back. And I think they got Los Gatos coming up soon, maybe even next week.
They do.
Yeah. Questionable for that game also is UCLA commit Jaden Hudson is questionable according to Charlie Ramirez. So might not have everybody down there in LA.
I think Pittsburgh will score. I'm going to say they score 10 points. They'll get a field goal and then maybe a garbage time touchdown, and they'll lose something like 50 to 10, 48-10, something like that.
Okay.
So all of us are taking Bosco. I think that's a wrap. I mean, anything else you guys want to add? Check us out at .com, eastbaytimes.com, and get that digital subscription. Joseph, floor is yours.
I'd like to add just on Saturday, we cover the Sarahs, we cover the De La Salle, St. Francis's. One of the funnest things that I think we did this weekend was we went to Fremont and got to watch Irvington play American for Monday Morning Lights. And Irvington, I don't know how to describe how they play other than exciting.
It was exciting. It was like Joseph and I were looking at each other on the sideline going, no way.
Exactly.
No way. Oh my God, way. It was like every time they had the ball, they were doing something where it was like right out of the playground. Like they drew it up in the sand. Mm-hmm. And then they're up 28-0 late first half, and American has to punt. So Irvington takes over near midfield. And I look at Joseph, I'm like, is he taking a knee? And he turns around and he goes, does that look like a coach who's going to take a knee? And I'm like,
he is wearing the coach, Anthony Jackson, who is an actor, movie actor, a women's basketball coach at Lincoln University. He works at Cal State East Bay, and he also obviously is a football coach. He was wearing all white. His team was wearing black. He said for the first time in school history, they were wearing black uniform. He decided to wear all white. And they throw 40 yards?
They take two plays. They throw a play that came near us on the sideline that gained about 25. And then the quarterback just throws a dart right over the middle into the end zone for the touchdown going into the locker room.
Yes.
It was impressive. It was fun. It was impressive. I like that Irvington team.
Yes.
So,
and I'll say the reason I'm saying that though is coaches or administrators, if you're watching this, maybe your team isn't a powerhouse team, but if you've got interesting stories you want to tell, hit us up at highschools@bayareanewsgroup.com. We'd love to hear your story ideas.
Exactly. Guys, anything else to add? Nathan, Christian, before we wrap it up?
Yeah, I'll shout out Hayward High, and they got a kind of an underrated kid that we were tipped off about. Maurice Hall had almost 500 yards of total offense, 5 touchdowns. I mean, crazy game for him. So congrats to Hayward, and they got a tough schedule coming up, but thinking the same league as Irvington. So maybe that's an interesting game to go to if they have them on the schedule.
Hopefully the game that Christian covers on Friday night will be similar to what we saw on Saturday with Irvington and American. Christian, you have one last thing to add before we shut it down?
Yeah, if you haven't found out what happened in the Branham-Soledad game last weekend, you should do that because it was insane. They had a lateral play on the last play that went for a touchdown, and then was called back. And on the very next play, they won on a Hail Mary. So I cannot say I recall ever hearing of that, and it was pretty crazy. So you should go read about it.
Branham. I've heard about
I
Branham.
have heard about Branham.
Right, Nathan?
Yeah, we've heard about Branham a lot this year. Yeah.
Yes, and now they have something to be excited about.
Yeah.
So
Strange
All right,
things
guys.
happen down in Soledad, I guess.
there you go. Well, that's a wrap. Thanks for watching. Come back next week.